Evidence today. Time now for my political panel, National Senator Bridget McKenzie and Labor MP Josh Burns. And let's start in Victoria. Josh, with you, do we need to revisit the rolling 14-day average target now?
Look, PK, I think everyone's a bit frustrated that it's not as low as we'd like it to be. I think the numbers still are much better than they were a couple of months ago, where they were notching up 700 cases a day. And 15 cases is still 15 too many, but I think it just reminds us all that we need to double down our efforts, that we don't have to wait for contact tracers. If you're feeling unwell, you need to go and get tested and isolate, and there is support to make sure we're supporting people in the meantime. So, look, it's a bit frustrating, but I think that everyone is looking forward to potentially coming out of it. But I think that all Victorians agree that when we come out of them, we have to make sure we stay out of these restrictions, and we need to do so in as safe as possible way.
Bridget McKenzie, this has, of course, been a big issue around the border, the New South Wales-Victorian border. Do you think there's a case now for the Premier to start opening up despite these stubborn numbers, and then to look at reopening the border too, given there is community transmission in New South Wales?
Absolutely, PK. I think, we're finally getting kids back to school. We need to be opening up our economy, getting Victorians COVID safely out of their homes, and revisit this strategy, this failed strategy of the Premier that even the Chief Medical Officer of our state has acknowledged doesn't think he'll even get to the KPI he set himself. The people that developed this model out of Melbourne Uni have gone public around how the assumptions have been put in place and the implementation of it. It's time to revisit the plan. It's not working. We need to have something that shows we can open up the economy, also learn to live with the virus, rather than keeping Victorians and, more importantly, businesses locked up indefinitely. You see the business confidence numbers around the country are improving, but not in our home state. It's not because they don't have confidence in their own ability to grow and develop. It's that they don't have confidence that the state Labor government won't be shutting them down indiscriminately, not based on medical data.
And then do you think the broader border, not just for the towns close, but should be opened given the situation we're in New South Wales and Victoria?
Yeah, I do, PK. Look, I live and work in Wodonga. Albury-Wodonga is a border town that services 250,000 people around our regions in New South Wales and Victoria. And we have had less than a handful of cases in 7 months. And yet our businesses are struggling to reopen. People need to get back to work. We've got mental health issues as a result of these draconian border shutdowns. And, I'm not worried about if it's the blue team or the red team. I think we need to be using data and medical science to make the very best decisions on how to live with this virus, not eliminate it, suppress it to the best of our ability so our healthcare system doesn't get overwhelmed, and get on with getting Australians employed, out and about, and back to a COVID-safe existence.
Josh, we heard a lot for a while about there being a new definition for what would be an outbreak or sort of a level of virus to open borders. That seems to have gone a bit silent. Is that national approach what's needed now?
Well, the first point to make is that the Victorian border is open, that the Victorian state is the only state that has their borders open. You just have to comply with the restrictions within Victoria. And I think some of the restrictions that Bridge was talking about refers to the New South Wales government, which I'm glad she made the distinction that it doesn't matter whether you're a Labor government or a Liberal government, that we all need to follow the health advice. And I think that's the same reason as to why the Prime Minister's closed the national borders and why Australians aren't allowed to travel overseas, is because we're seeing extraordinary numbers happening overseas. France is at 22,000, the UK in 15,000, the United States, India, Israel, all across the world. We're seeing numbers in really out of control rates, and hospitals being overrun. So, we do need to be able to live in some way of COVID normal. I think that everyone shares that objective. I think everyone wants to see businesses being back on their feet, and especially, locally, my businesses in my electorate have been absolutely devastated. But we all need to make sure that when we come out of these restrictions, we do so in a way that we can stay out of these restrictions, and we need to support people until that happens, which I don't think is that far away.
OK, look,
Josh,
we will 1 minute.
Day,
yeah, I'll let you pick up.
Yeah, look, I was really buoyed by that announcement out of National Cabinet about a localised response to hotspot outbreaks. We cannot have 7 different ways to deal with this virus. I mean, you're seeing perverse outcomes all over the place. Premiers need to put down their arms, stop playing politics with their COVID response, and develop a combined definition of a hotspot, agree to shut them down swiftly and securely when and where they occur, and the rest of us can just get on with back to COVID normal, as Josh is saying.
Now, we're waiting for the New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian to stand up and address the evidence she gave at ICAC. But I am going to start with you first, Bridget McKenzie, on these revelations. The New South Wales opposition is calling for her to stand down, arguing that she's a fraud, she's been evasive, she's shown poor judgment, that she's been reckless with her relationship that's been revealed today. Should she stand down?
Oh, look, Patricia, I'm not going to be commenting on, a New South Wales inquiry that's ongoing at the moment. It's been, I think, it's been rolling coverage, obviously, and I haven't been watching it all day, so it would be remiss of me to actually be commenting at this time.
I'll put that to you, Josh. I know it's in New South Wales, but some pretty stunning revelations today. We know Barry O'Farrell, previous New South Wales Premier, lost his job after an ICAC inquiry. Should the Premier go?
Well, it's been an unpredictable year, PK. I think that's probably the biggest understatement of 2020. Who could have seen this coming? But look, these are pretty extraordinary revelations. I might stick with Bridget in not commenting on the specifics until they've run their course, because it is a current investigation by the ICAC. But it does remind us that these are serious issues that are being dealt with the full power of a New South Wales ICAC. And, only last month we found out that the federal government spent $30 million on a piece of land that was worth $3 million off a previous owner that donated to the Liberal Party. So if ever we needed a federal ICAC, if ever we needed a federal National Integrity Commission, today's another good reminder that we do.
Yeah, well, you went to where I was going, so thanks for raising it. I was just about to. Bridget McKenzie, isn't there a sense of urgency?
Helpful, Josh.
Isn't there a sense of urgency, Bridget McKenzie, around a national ICAC now?
Look, Patricia, we took to the last election plans for an integrity body. The Attorney General's obviously working through that at the moment and has been overtaken, obviously, with our COVID response and now the recovery. So, I think it's important for all of us to act with integrity at all times, particularly given the great responsibility and privilege we have to represent people and to make decisions on behalf of taxpayers if we have the opportunity to be in government as ministers.
OK, well, it would be remiss if I didn't put to you that, is that really what you did with the sports frauds affair?
Absolutely, Patricia, and I'm very, very proud to stand behind that program, and I'm happy to share my 6,000-word submission to the Senate inquiry on this matter. We have ministers that actually appointed to make decisions, and my decisions at the time saw more Labor seats receive funding. I could go on and on.
Yeah, just as I was about to grill you, Gladys Berejiklian is up, so perfect segue.
Okay.
Gladys Berejiklian standing up there, New South Wales Premier, to address this